In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create side-by-side box plots using ggplot2. To begin, let's load in the dataset, which is the Hollywood Movies 2011 dataset from the Lock 5 textbook, and we'll also load the ggplot2 package. So notice that our dataset did load, ggplot loaded fine, so we're ready to go. Now when you're creating side-by-side box plots, remember what we're going to be doing is breaking up the distribution of one variable by some categorical variable. So here, that's exactly what mapping is going to do for us. Let's start by looking at the base layer of our first set of box plots. We give it the data set, which is Hollywood Movies 2011, just like we have with every other plot we've created. Now in the mapping we have two variables. The first variable is going to be your categorical variable, which here is going to be genre, because we're going to be creating box plots of Hollywood movie budgets by genre. And that means that the x-axis is being broken up by the categorical variable, and the y-axis here will display our quantitative variable, which is budget. We add another layer in there. Remember to add the plus sign at the end, and the layer that we're adding is a box plot geometry. Finally, what we're going to do is just clean up the y-axis label so that we add the units in there. Running these lines of code, what we'll see is that we get a basic set of box plots. Now you may see this warning message in worry. Well, there are some missing values in the data set, and that's all that R is warning you about. Also note that in adventure, which is the second box plot in, or should be, but it's missing, there wasn't enough data to actually render all of the box plots. You need to calculate a 5-number summary. If you don't have enough values, you won't be able to do this. But one thing we need to notice about this set of box plots is that it's not particularly easy to read. And the reason for this is that genre is currently sorted alphabetically. So we have action, adventure, all the way up to romance and thriller. An easier way to read this would be if we ordered these box plots by the median, because then your eyes would be drawn to these easy comparisons. You'd understand intuitively how things were changing box plot to box plot, and so it's much easier to read if you order this by the median. In order to do this, we're going to keep the base layer almost the same, except we're going to change what we give the x variable when we're in our mapping. So what we need to do now is that we need to reorder genre using the budget variable, and we want to calculate the median budget. And there might be missing values in there. In fact, there are, so we need to specify na.rm equals true. We'll leave the rest of the mapping y equals budget the same. Now notice we'll also leave our box plot geometry layer the same, and we'll add in an extra tweak to our x label now. And that's because the x label without this would be just this entire reordered genre budget median na.rm equals true, which isn't very useful to your reader, so you want to just make the labels what the reader needs to know. So running this set of code, what you'll see is now we have the box plots sorted in ascending order by the median, which is quite easy to read. But we can improve this one step further. And in fact, sometimes we need to improve this one step further. And the issue is that depending on the size of this plot, so if I just move this divider over and make the plot smaller, what you'll notice is that the labels of the genres start running into each other. And that can be very hard to read. So a good idea with side-by-side box plots when you have longer labels is to interchange the x and the y axis. And this can be simply done by adding plus cord_flip to your plot. Running this, we'll see that we've just rotated the x and the y axis, or interchanged the x and the y axis, and now we have very easy to read box plots, and the labels of those box plots are also very easy to read. Another perk of rotating the box plots this way is that it's much easier to compare the medians, because vertical comparisons are easier than horizontal comparisons. So this is how you create side-by-side box plots in R using ggplot2.